I think as a staff, you could feel it that night. We got off to a pretty good start, especially offensively. Score early on a big play, get a few stops defensively early, get up 2 scores. Would have liked to seen us kind of, keep our foot on the gas pedal there, especially into that second quarter. They were able to piece together a long drive, a 12-play drive, and obviously it's it's a tighter ball game going in at halftime than what it maybe should have. I thought they did a good job coming out in the second half and piecing a drive together. We had them on third down probably 3 times in that drive and weren't able to get stops. But we definitely had our opportunities defensively, I think, to go away, giving up 14 points, and we're sitting there looking at the film afterwards saying, we had plenty of opportunities to keep points off the board completely. But it was really nice to see defensively in the first half. We gave up, I think, a little over 20 carries for a little over 80 yards. And in the second half, I think it was 17 carries for 22 yards in a close ball game. So I was really pleased to see our level of execution in the second half, if anything, go up a notch, even with a couple guys dinged up, and a couple backups in certain spots. So that was really, really pleasing from our staff's perspective. And then able to finish offensively and kind of put them away at the end and get a score and get an interception to finish the game. So I think, pleased with how we started, pleased with how we finished. Definitely need to be more consistent throughout the whole course of the game. Anthony was in a situation where he was, behind some pretty experienced guys his first 2 years here. Played very, very little as a freshman. I actually think he played against Merrimack the last game of his freshman year. Played a little bit last year and really had to come in and knowing the expectation level, was going to be greatly elevated for him this year. I think he really shoulders that well. He approached the off season well. He's done a really good job of adding, really good weight to his frame. He's very athletic. He's long. He did obviously got after the quarterback two times for us, forced a fumble, which was big. Also had a really big TFL on a 3rd and 1. So his level of consistency, has gotten better and better through the first 4 games of the season. So we're excited to see, him continue to be a leader on the edge for us there and up front, and kind of see, how he continues to progress throughout the course of the season. Nate Bresson is a freshman from the Canterbury School in Connecticut, out of Tolland, Connecticut. He's started every game so far of his freshman campaign at the end for us. He's a big physical kid. He probably had his best game against Saint Anselm's on Saturday. He had a couple TFLs, had one that it could have been a strip sack that was called an incomplete pass. So he's done a really great job against the run. He's really started to develop that feel from a pass rush standpoint. I mean, he's a 250, 260 pound freshman defensive end who's got an extra year under his belt because of prep school, and very smart, gets the playbook, asks really intelligent questions, and he's starting to pick up some momentum here, I think, going into the second half of the season, which has been nice. And Adam Popularczyk is another freshman DN from Maryland, who's done a really good job in terms of a rotational role. I mean, he's seen his snap count go up here throughout the first 4 games, and he's a little bit further along from a pass rush standpoint, but another big 6'4", 6'5" frame, 250-pound kid that's really stepped in and from day one been expected to shoulder some of the workload. And he's another guy that's done a really great job as well. Any good defense and any good team, the more hands on deck, the more guys you have contributing to the success of the program, the better. So if something does happen, if somebody does go down, the next man up philosophy, it's that much easier to withhold because, those guys have been getting snaps. They're just going to get a few more. But yeah, I mean, we kind of get those guys to buy into, hey, you're going to give us everything you got for 3 or 4 plays, and then the next guy's going to come in and do the same until you're ready to go back out there and do it again. So we do it out throughout the course of the week of practice, and it's not something where we're just going to rotate guys for the sake of rotating guys. We're rotating guys that have earned the right through their consistent level of high play, that they're going to be able to get out there and contribute, and we're not going to skip a beat. So really, that's on them. It's one of those things where if we're rotating a lot of guys, it's because A, we've done a great job recruiting, and B, we've done a really good job of developing those guys and getting them ready to play ball on Saturday. So, if we can roll with 8, 9, 10, 11 guys in there, it keeps everybody fresh, keeps everybody's level of play high, and that's going to be important, against a team like Merrimack this weekend, who's going to try to run some up tempo, no huddle offense, and try to keep us on our heels. Matt's mother is a teacher, so you could tell he definitely has a very firm background in terms of how he was brought up and the level of importance that's always been placed on in his life. Matt never got anything lower than an A- throughout high school and his prep year at the Hill School. So that was kind of a no-brainer when we looked in the recruiting process at him, knowing that he's going to be a tremendous fit here academically and obviously athletically, and be able to do things at a high level. I think where it really plays into him is, he's able to really balance both very easily because he has put such a level of importance on what goes on in the classroom. And he applies that to the football field. I mean, he's a very smart, knows the playbook, very intelligent football player. And it makes it easier for him to focus on football when it's time to focus on football because he's done such a great job of excelling in the classroom. And I think, this summer was pretty cool. He was able to work as a TA for a Harvard University economics professor. So that's something that you don't really see every day with a college football player working up as a TA, but that just kind of speaks to who he is and how he is as a person. We've been able to kind of to be on the winning end of this matchup the last couple of years, and a lot of that is just because we've been able to contain that offense, and it's no easy task. They're averaging over 60 pass attempts a game. Their quarterback does a really good job of getting rid of the football early before the pressure can get there. They're not afraid to spread you out and put 5 wide receivers on the field. And really, I think the trick for them is if they get their running game going, it really allows them to stay on rhythm and stay on schedule and use that up-tempo offense. So, we have to do a really good job of stopping their run game early and often and turning it into a passing game. Because then if you can get some incompletions, you're able to turn the chains over and flip the field. We've actually played him the last 2 years under center at Bentley. He's a pretty good athlete. Bentley, he used to run a little bit at Bentley. So he's definitely an experienced football player. I mean, he's a 5th-year senior. He's a graduate student there. I know that's his hometown. So he's experienced with our league. He's experienced going up against us. A familiar face just at a new place. I think he's done a really good job of really distributing that football for them in that offense. And he's just a tough, sound football player. And I think it says a lot that he's been able to, in such a short time, step in there and become the starting quarterback. So we have a lot of respect for him and what he's capable of. They're really aggressive. I mean, they play a lot of man coverage. They're going to try to match up with you across the board. And, I think that presents some challenges in the passing game, and it might create some opportunities in some other parts of the game for us. So, we really have to do a great job of winning some of those one-on-one matchups when it's called upon. But again, for us to stay on rhythm, we got to be able to run the football, and that opens up everything else in our offense. For us, defensively, we have to get stops. We have to be able to get ourselves off the field. We can't allow them to continue drives. Offensively, I think being able to run the ball and control the clock and win the time of possession is huge. Obviously, they're a team that wants to be on the field as much as possible in offense. So we've got to do our best on both sides of the ball to keep them off the field. We got to create some big plays on special teams. Last year we were able to win with a block punt recovered for a touchdown. So not only field position, but kind of creating those spark plays special teams wise will be big.